Troubles in Henry's Nose by Tim Bosworth. Setting, a community senior center. Fred causes quite a commotion when he signs up for weekly luncheons at Henry's Nose Community Center in Henry's Nose, a fictional mid-sized American community. The play focuses on 6 seniors who have, with the exception of Fred, the new arrival, come there for lunch every week and have sat in the same seats for many years. The table of the play is one of 10 tables in the room, each of which probably hosts its own drama, but we only see this table. The characters at our table are eating during the play, though this is not shown and not always stated. A television set is mounted high up on the wall and is visible to everyone. All of the characters, except Fred and Henry, are or were long-term residents of the community. Each character is in his or her 70s or 80s, except Shirley, who is somewhat younger. There is a reception desk at the far left and a round table around which the other characters are seated. The play moves through 5 scenes, each occurring 1 week after the preceding one. Action. Shirley is checking Fred in, filling out a form, taking his money, handing him his change. The others are waiting at the big table, talking quietly among themselves. It certainly is excellent to be able to put a face to a phone call, Mr. Farnsworth.
3 people mentioned this luncheon to me in just the week I've lived here.
We have gotten a lot of calls lately.
Thank you so much for making room for me. I'm so glad there was room.
There! She puts his form in a file and pats it. I'm finally done with all the paperwork, so if you don't mind me asking, what brought you to Henry's Nose?
I threw a dart at a map.
What are the odds of hitting Henry's nose with a dart? We're not even on most maps.
Oh, it didn't land right on it, but next to it. Your town's name, Henry's Nose, is so charming. Well, I had to run up here to see what the place is like.
Well, Fred, looks like you got the last open seat in the whole room.
Look, they're looking over here.
Fred.
Oh, a TV.
People like it on sometimes when there's been an emergency, like 9/11 or the space shuttle disaster.
Oh my God, they're starting to walk right over here.
Or to follow a local controversy.
Or a big storm.
I'll bet she's going to try to put him in Henry's seat.
Shall we go?
Oh, I'm excited.
Excellent. Shirley and Fred begin to walk to the table. Priscilla is pointing at Fred. Let's then.
Look, Shirley's leading him right over here. He's really tall.
I don't think he's so tall.
She thinks everybody's tall.
So what if he is?
Priscilla has put the wastebasket on the empty chair.
It's not going to work.
What are you doing, Priscilla?
They're not going to put some miscellaneous stranger here.
They're not going to keep his seat empty forever.
They will if I have anything to say about it.
A wastebasket doesn't belong on a chair.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
You're the one being ridiculous, Priscilla.
I am not.
Shirley and
are
Fred
too.
have arrived at the big table.
R2.
Excuse me, everyone. This here's Mr. Fred Farnsworth.
You don't expect this person to actually sit where Henry's already sitting, do you?
It's the only open seat, Priscilla.
But Henry's already sitting there.
Priscilla put the wastebasket there.
It's still my Henry's seat. Or does nobody care?
Mr. Farnsworth, I'm really sorry about this.
It's okay. If it's a problem, I'll just sign up for the next week.
Well, that really would work out a lot better.
Or
there might even be another table open then.
Or maybe add another chair.
No. That would make it way, way too cramped. My Henry hates being hemmed in.
Priscilla.
I'm sorry, but who's Henry again?
He sits here every week.
Oh, well, in that case.
No one can sit here.
Oh, God, Priscilla.
There just isn't any room.
Well, without the wastebasket, there is.
Shut up, Lynn.
You know, the trustees don't allow saving seats anymore.
Well, he can't sit in my Henry's seat.
He never owned that chair, Priscilla.
You make it sound like he's still alive.
Shut up, Victoria.
Look, Priscilla, we've been through this before. I thought you understood.
There wasn't a wastebasket on it the other times.
Oh my God, Priscilla, you think Henry's a wastebasket?
Don't be ridiculous.
Priscilla, again. You are the one being ridiculous.
Look, Priscilla, if we don't keep seats open, we'll turn off the public. Fewer people will come.
And fewer will pay. Like everybody says, it's all about the money.
Priscilla.
This is my Henry's seat, and that's all there is to it.
Mr. Farnsworth is standing here.
Shut up, Lynn. Don't you go sticking your nose into this.
What's going on here? I mean, who's sticking who's what into what?
Mason must be a little hard of hearing.
What did you say? Somebody's hard of steering?
Turn up your hearing aid, Victoria.
Talk louder, I can't hear you.
Your hearing aid, Victoria. Turn it up.
That old thing. I only wear it for fun.
Mr. Farnsworth is still standing here.
For God's sake, let the man sit down. I mean, we loved Henry, but...
And Mason, take your damn hat off. How rude you men are.
Oops, sorry.
Fred has snatched off his hat.
What's she talking about?
She's griping about your hat again.
My Henry never wears hats. Well, except when it's cold.
Women are always trying to get you to do what you don't want to do.
She doesn't want to have she doesn't have Henry to kick around anymore.
Victoria, shut up.
No, you shut up. None of us needs to listen to you nagging him all the time.
Shut up.
Why don't I just run along and get lunch somewhere else?
That's a great idea.
Priscilla?
I just don't want to be any trouble.
Priscilla, you're embarrassing the man. Where's lunch supposed to get here anyway?
Priscilla's in the way of Mr. Farnsworth sitting down.
What do you people know about what I've been going through all these months?
Oh, look, lunch is coming.
Lynn is clapping and pointing. Mason has removed the waste paper basket. Victoria is patting the chair.
Come on, Fred, sit your butt down.
Mr. Farnsworth is still standing here.
I just don't want to cause any trouble.
Well, you already have.
Oh, don't worry about it, Mr. Farnsworth. You haven't. Fred sits down.
Well, Mr. Farnsworth
A
is
thorn between two roses.
amazing. He's finally sitting down.
I remember you used to say that all the time, Henry.
Priscilla has been looking up at the ceiling.
But don't worry, sweetie. I'll get this straightened out.
I can still go somewhere else, you know.
Well, that would solve all our problems.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Farnsworth. You're fine.
Hey, they're bringing our lunch now.
Thanks, Shirley.
Oh, you're so welcome, Mr. Farnsworth. Enjoy your lunch, everyone. Shirley stays. Staff begins to serve, and then she returns to reception. The others talk and eat. End scene 1. Scene 2. The next week, all at the table.
So, Fred, what did you do before you came here?
I got up and showered and had breakfast.
Before you moved here? Philadelphia, wasn't it?
I was kidding around.
You mean you're not quite as dumb as you look?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
You act like a history professor,
What does a history professor act like?
like you.
Okay. You got me there. In Philadelphia, I was one before I dropped out of the whole academic scene. Why? You have a problem with history professors?
History was the most abysmally boring class I ever had to take. Just memorize facts.
Yeah, I hated it too.
Oh, I love facts. They're the only things you can rely on.
We used to emphasize facts, but not so much anymore.
You are, let me see, Professor Frederick Farley Farnsworth, PhD, 1980 from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Pulitzer Prize winner in 1985 for your biography of Frederick Jackson Turner. 500 Days New York Times nonfiction bestseller.
How do you know all that?
She knows everything about some things.
Lynn's right. I worked on that book in Saigon.
You went to Vietnam? Did you get killed?
Not so as you'd notice.
Mason did 4 tours in Vietnam.
4? 4? Boy, 1 was more than enough for me.
He didn't get killed either.
Thanks for pointing that out.
3 of your articles were published, one in August 1972 on Lyndon Baines Johnson's role in the passage of the Civil Rights Bill of 1964, one in January 1975 on General Douglas MacArthur's military career, and one in the December 1976 issue on Dwight Eisenhower. All of them in the American Historical Review.
In the what?
The American Historical Review.
What's that?
And it's a professional journal, magazine. Every historian worth his salt gets published there.
You mean they waste all that paper on history professors?
As strange as it may seem.
So just how much salt are you worth, Fred?
Not as much as I used to be, that's for sure.
Well, I've never heard of it.
And there's nothing you haven't heard of.
Nothing important. I suppose you've heard of it then?
Well, I'm sure Henry had.
Your argument on President Johnson's role in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 landed you into hot water with all those little liberals.
Mason, will you take your hat off already?
Boy, Priscilla, what's up with you and Mason's hat?
Well, he's old enough to know how to.
Old enough to know that if you let them control your hat, you let them control your life.
Such bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
Mason, you did 4 tours in Nam?
You're surprised?
He stood up, salutes, and sits down.
I was glad to get out of there after 1.
Not me. I got wounded at the end of my last tour. 3 months in the hospital, then shipped home. Hadn't been for that, I'd probably have volunteered for a 5th.
What in the world did you ever like about it?
I got to kill people.
So Fred, why'd you drop out of being a history professor?
No, I just got fed up. You know, the publish or perish thing. One day I realized I was trying to publish and was perishing anyway.
Were you married?
Oh, but yes, until I dropped out. She couldn't stand being married to somebody not a professor anymore. She invited me to leave, so I did. Philly didn't feel the same. The same things, but they didn't mean the same.
Any kids?
Well, just a stepdaughter from this last go-around. Nothing from my first.
You were married before that?
Yeah, for 2 years, right out of college. No kids from that one.
How come you never remarried?
Lynn,
Well, what exactly did you
don't pay
do?
any attention to her. She's just being nosy.
Oh, it doesn't matter. The school put in all this wireless junk where students could get everything online, even watch my lectures online. Quality went down the tubes. There was no more give and take in the classroom. I argued and argued against it, but,
My Henry hates the internet too.
well, they couldn't fire me.
Well, because you had tenure.
Tenure?
They had to keep him unless he did something egregious, like shoot somebody.
They made my life miserable in other ways.
So they made you quit.
They made your life liberal?
Miserable. They made my life miserable.
Like what?
Well, like canceling courses I was contracted to teach, then docking my pay because I wasn't teaching enough classes.
So they penalized you for not teaching courses they wouldn't let you teach.
Correct.
I'd have kicked him right in the balls.
Well, then they took away my doctoral students and docked my pay for not supervising the students that they wouldn't let me supervise.
Boy, there's something wrong with that. Wasn't there anything that you could have done?
You know, I'd have kicked him in the balls a second time.
Well, fighting them would have caused too much trouble, and my graduate students were losing time. The university offered to grant me my severance and my retirement benefits if I resigned.
Sounds like you keep eating whatever shit people decide to shove down your throat.
I wouldn't put it
Have you ever once stood up for yourself? Once!
Against my second wife. She thought I was being stupid for quitting. When I said I was going to quit anyway, she left me.
Or were you cheating on her or something?
No, never. I wouldn't have had time even if I'd wanted to.
My Henry never cheated on me either.
That's what you think.
Exactly how many years did your second marriage last?
18.
Was that 18, like 18 exactly? Was it a little less than 18 or a little more than 18? 18 exactly would have been 6,570 days plus about 4 or 5 leap year days, depending. If it was only 17, it would have been 6,205, or if it was 19,
That's
maybe.
enough, Len.
I remembered every anniversary and never forgot her birthday, even once.
Never.
Never, not one time, and that's the thanks I got.
There actually are people who don't cheat, Victoria.
Yeah, well, Henry wasn't one of them.
Shut up.
If she cheated on me, I never knew about it.
Did you keep track of her every movement?
No, of course not.
You didn't publish any articles after 1985.
Boy, you sure know a lot about me. I got hired in Philly that same year. I just couldn't get my feet on the ground. Then all this high-tech junk hit, and well, you know the rest.
So that leaves about 30 years.
Jesus, Lynn, give the man a rest. This isn't a McCarthy hearing.
Well, I'm just trying to.
Sorry, I have to kick you out. The kitchen needs your dishes. End scene 2. Scene 3. All are present around the table.
Hey, anybody want to hear about my project?
Do we have to?
I'm going to every Red Sox game next season.
Everyone?
Absolutely every game. I have all my season passes. I'll have a scorecard on
What
every.
a colossal waste of time.
Why? If she wants to do it and has the money.
I suppose it would be okay if it were Henry we were talking about.
She does have the money.
Victoria, shut up.
I'm going to make posters out of the scorecards and put them up all through my apartment.
Cool.
You should see the scorecard she's got up there now. They're on all the walls. I mean, it looks like an art gallery in there.
And you want to hear something else?
Not now, Lynn.
You can't just shut her up like that, Priscilla.
I knew I should never have let you sit here.
She deserves to be heard.
Assuming she has something to say.
She must have something to say that's important to her.
I'm going to start with the first spring training game and go right on through the World Series, or however far they get.
That sounds great.
That sounds stupid if you ask me.
No one asked you, Priscilla.
Shut up, Victoria.
And every game they play overseas too. The only thing is, I don't know the exact start time of every game. I mean, I have to have that so I can put it on my calendar. One thing though, if they play in Mexico, is that overseas?
I don't know, Lynn. Is there an ocean between here and there?
Okay, somebody tell me something about Henry.
Oh, he was such a nice man.
He was the sweetest, kindest, and most generous person on the face of the earth. I'll miss him every second of every minute of every day, like I already have.
And the town's named after him.
After his nose?
Ever since my sweet Henry was little, he'd wanted to run the town, have it named after him even.
Really? There must have been people who didn't want him running the town or renaming it.
Oh, they were. The best he could do was pay for changing all the signage. The town's official name is the same. Changing that would have taken an act of Congress.
Well, at least the state legislature.
But he funded the center with his own money. He also gave the money to serve lunches. His endowment meant they didn't have to charge much.
Sounds like quite a guy.
Yeah, and he made sure the word senior was out of there, too.
And a good thing,
Well, I never did get what was wrong with that.
because everybody hates it. I certainly can't relate to it.
So, how does his nose get stuck in there? Did he have a big nose or something?
Cyrano de Bergerac had nothing on my Henry.
What did he think about his nose?
Are you kidding? He hated it. Not just because it was so long, it was very wide, too.
Why didn't he go to a plastic surgeon?
Oh, he did. 3 of them, after Edith suggested it.
Edith?
His 4th wife.
Oh, he was married before?
Attaboy, Fred. You're just a swinging pickaxe today.
Oh, Priscilla was his 7th.
And his best.
7. Wow. 2 were more than enough for me.
Each doctor said the same thing. He could pare it down, but it would still be really big. One of them wanted to write up Henry's nose for a medical journal. He wouldn't go along.
No kidding.
Yeah, the whole nose thing was my idea. He was so upset about the size of his nose, he didn't know what to do. It just pained me to the core to see him like that, and I told him, look, if you're stuck with this huge thing, why not call yourself Henry the Nose? And he did.
Henry the Nose. Interesting.
Yeah, he named his used car dealership Noses Used Cars. One of his ads said, pick the best car at Noses Used Cars. And when he ran for the legislature those 3 times, his tagline was, nose can sniff out corruption. Nose can smell bull a mile away. He got kind of a charge out of people's reactions to it. But down deep, he hated having such a big nose. His father had a big nose too, but not as big as Henry's.
So big noses ran in his family, huh?
Ha ha.
Oh, it certainly made him hard to kiss.
Not that hard.
Oh, you would know about that, Victoria, wouldn't you?
It absolutely didn't slow him down.
And you know about that too, hmm?
Mason, I really enjoyed our coffee.
He has been staring at a magazine, but perks up.
What?
I was talking about our having coffee at the Purple Penguin and how much fun I had getting to know you.
Oh, yeah. We did.
I think we can become great friends.
Well, the rate they're dropping off, we need all the friends we can get. Fred, did you know my middle name is Farley?
With both of us having ancestors coming over on the Mayflower?
No, mine came to Connecticut later. But we might have a common ancestor.
By the way, Priscilla, I couldn't help noticing your limp today. Shouldn't you be using a cane?
If I needed it.
Fred, she probably has one buried in a closet at home.
Victoria, you have no idea what's in my closet at home.
Be afraid to guess. Do you know that I was almost the state's poet laureate in 2002?
And you were extremely hot when you were in your 20s. We all know that.
Well, Farley, huh? We must be distant cousins. Amazing. Who'd have thunk it?
Thunk it?
Oh, just joking around.
Oh, good.
I got my whole family tree at home.
Probably the one you fell out of onto your head as a kid.
I'll bring it and show it to you next time.
Oh, great.
Fred, you got your degree from the University of Wisconsin, you said.
It's been called the University of Wisconsin Madison since the mid-1970s.
Here, take this.
Mason has held something out to Fred.
Oh, what?
He looks at it.
Holy mackerel. Printing is pretty small, but I think it says University of Wisconsin, and underneath Numen Lumen, which must mean new eye in Latin. There's a picture of an, oh my God. It's the UW's old slogan.
Turn it over.
There's an alumni number on it on the back, number 5036. Mason, where in the hell did you get this?
Well, there's a flea market south of here every Sunday afternoon. You mentioned Wisconsin, and I knew you needed this.
Well, I can't keep this.
He tries to hand it back to Mason.
Here, this is yours.
No, it's for you.
Really?
Really.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
He goes back to reading his magazine.
Mason's always doing things like that.
You should see his house. It's full of stuff.
You mean junk. He's nothing more than a hoarder.
There's a purpose to it, though.
Well, doesn't matter. His house looks like hell. Pretty soon they'll foreclose on him. Neighbors are complaining.
Just one neighbor, and she complains about everything.
Well, if you lived next to him, you wouldn't say that.
Do you live next to him, Priscilla?
Thank the Lord, no.
So you're just talking, right?
What do you mean?
The city shouldn't be giving him so much trouble.
Oh, easy enough for you to say.
The man's a walking library. He knows everything, going back generations.
And how would you know?
One of the times that he was between houses, I let him sleep on my couch. I learned a lot of stuff from him.
From what I hear, you had them standing in line.
Screw you, Priscilla.
Mason and Lynn exit. Ends scene 3. Scene 4. Fred, Victoria, Shirley, and Priscilla are at the table. The television is on.
Hey, everybody, they have the TV on. We can keep up with the storm.
They're saying it might be a bad one, but you all must have read about Mason.
Well, I heard about it last night.
He was such a sweet man.
He had the deepest blue eyes I've ever seen.
The whole town's heart is broken.
I was just getting to know him.
He used to go from library to library. Others went bar hopping. He went library hopping.
He loved to read. He always had his head in a book or a magazine.
Ah, that was just a fraud. He wasn't really reading. He only made it seem that way.
Like my dad toward the end, I guess I didn't want to look very closely. He lived with Alzheimer's for 10 years or so.
Oh, I'm sorry. That must have been very tough on you.
It was a lot harder on my mom.
She's still alive?
She had a heart attack at his funeral.
Jeez. Sorry I asked.
This paper says Mason died in a car crash.
If you'd read further, you'd have seen that he crashed because he had a heart attack while driving.
And all because of his tax problems.
How did his tax problems give him a heart attack?
Well, he stopped paying when he retired. He said he'd paid enough and they should go after other people.
I still don't get it.
They foreclosed on him and they took all his stuff. He loved his stuff more than anything or anyone. That's what gave him the heart attack.
How do you know that?
It's obvious to anyone who knew him.
3 guesses what Lynn must have had to say about his not paying taxes. Speaking of Lynn, she's not here. Where is she?
Obviously somewhere else.
Wow, Priscilla's great genius is hereby yet again exposed.
Shut up, Victoria.
They as much as killed him when they took all his stuff. And he'd spent his life collecting.
Nonsense. Not paying his taxes was his decision.
They all knew him. They knew he'd be devastated. It was city-sponsored terrorism. His stuff was like his kids.
He spent, I don't know how much on lawyers to fight them. He said some amendment to the Constitution allowing the government to collect income taxes.
It's actually the 16th Amendment. It was passed 2 July 1909. It took until 1913 to go into effect.
All I know is my Henry offered to pay all Mason's taxes and lawyers' fees. I told him that was silly. The man was generous to a fault. I said, let Mason suffer the consequences. But the man would have nothing to do with it. Said it would be funding oppression.
He was right.
If the government let everybody off the hook, where the hell would we be?
In a better place than we are now, that's for sure.
Well, my Henry tried over and over to talk him into it, but he refused every time, even though he was about broke by the end. You know, I was really relieved.
Would you have felt the same way if you'd known that it would have killed him?
You know, my Henry paid So many kids' college tuitions. I don't even know how many.
Mason had a hand in building or rebuilding just about every structure that still stands in this city.
Did you know that he and I may have been distant cousins?
Another time they foreclosed on him, I let him sleep on my couch.
Yeah, we're all convinced how desirable you were. We hear it every week.
Will you shut up already?
Wouldn't matter if I did. Everyone hears everything from you anyway.
Then you need not say more.
What are you two really talking about anyway?
Tell you later.
What's this?
Victoria has handed Fred a book of her poetry.
What does it look like?
A book.
Good boy. Now open it.
What's that?
Fred has opened the book.
Some more lame trash my Henry bribed people to publish for you?
Priscilla, you still think he was your possession. And what do you know about my poetry? Anyway, have you ever read any poetry at all?
Victoria, you're...
A poet. You're surprised?
No, I just... Can I read one of your poems?
I don't know. Can you read?
Very funny. I mean, may I read one, please?
Absolutely not.
Kidding again?
Yes, my dear Fred, you may read one. More than one, if you want.
Fred has been reading.
I watched the moon rise softly from the sea. Pictures of your lovely body all coming to me. I swim towards you, wanting you to be there, but watch your vision disappear, and I'm surrounded by the water and the air. That's gorgeous.
Of course it is.
Fred closes the book to return it to her, but she stops him.
No, it's for you. You keep it.
Really?
Why won't you accept things people want to give you?
You know, I've written some poetry, not nearly as good as this. And where is Lynn anyway? Shirley, did Lynn call out?
Not that I heard about.
Probably all bound up in that ridiculous baseball thing of hers.
Why do you dislike that so much?
Well, it's a total waste of time. I saw her Saturday in the park, running off at the mouth to some man. For some reason, he seemed interested in it. It just about drives me nuts. And all those other lists she keeps, and not just baseball.
I'm no psychologist, but I'm sure she has something like Asperger's.
Asparagus?
No, Victoria, Asperger's, not asparagus. It's spelled Aspergers. It's a high-functioning form of autism. You can't relate to people normally.
Fred has jumped suddenly toward the TV.
Hey, turn that up. That's Lynn.
Shirley has turned it up and come over to watch with them. Some breaking news we started to report before the last commercial break. Police are describing a gruesome scene out on the interstate this morning. A local woman whose name has just been released as Lynn High-Toss Manning was killed in an alleged hit and run. Next of kin have just been notified. Details remain sketchy, but Ms. Manning, a white 79-year-old accountant, had stopped to help another driver, and both were run down by a Caucasian man driving a light brown late model Audi. The driver reportedly veered intentionally toward the two women. The other victims, next of kin, have not yet been reached. The man driving the Audi then sped on after the accident. The investigation is continuing. State police ask anyone with information on this heinous crime to come forward. The alleged perpetrator is urged to turn himself in. Updates as
Oh my God. Lynn. Did you know she had a picture of Mason in her living room?
I didn't know you knew her that well.
Well, she invited me over to talk baseball. She knew so much about the lives of the players and could quote every statistic in the world. I couldn't believe that one person could hold so many facts in her brain.
Well, we should get the center to offer a reward for her killer. I'll look into it right away, sweetie.
Why you? You didn't even like her.
Well, Henry wants me to. He finds her amusing and whatever. She certainly didn't deserve to die that way. She's still a child of God.
Once, a few years ago, we offered a reward for something quite like that, before my time here. But we might want to wait and see if the killer turns himself in or they arrest someone. In the meantime, I'll talk to the center director.
God, we're dropping like flies.
Yeah, well, Lynn was hardly a fly.
A fly ball, maybe?
Can we stop it with the jokes, please? Lynn's not even in the ground yet. I don't want to hear anything more about this. Anymore.
Priscilla exits. End scene 4. Scene 5. Fred and Victoria are at the table. Shirley is at the reception desk.
So what have you been doing since last week?
What do you think?
Working on your poetry?
4 hours a day, despite all my maladies.
Like what?
Oh, aching joints, cramping when I don't drink a lot of water all the time, pains everywhere. My ophthalmologist says my glaucoma seems to be under control. Oh, why do doctors' specialties always so hard to pronounce?
Probably to keep out the riffraff. Say, where is everybody anyway? I'm off with Waldo. Remember how when I came the first time I got the last seat?
Well, attendance has always been up and down.
Remember how Priscilla tried to block my sitting down with a wastebasket?
How can I forget?
Imagine a wastebasket. Where is Priscilla anyway? Shirley, did she cancel?
No?
Funny, she hasn't missed a lunch ever.
Well, I have the same health issues as you do, with some vertigo and sciatica thrown in. Sometimes when I roll over in bed, my head goes spinning crazy out of control. Some days I can hardly get out of bed. Do you ever feel your mind going?
That's the thing I'm most afraid of. With no mind, what am I?
If I'd known, I would never have signed on to getting old.
Me neither.
I've been writing some poetry lately.
Did you like my poems?
I think they're nice.
Nice? You think my poems are nice? Can't you do better than that? I give my whole life to my poems, and all you can say is they're nice.
What do you want me to say?
Postcards are nice. Paint by number pictures are nice.
Okay. Your poems are beautiful. Why can't they be nice too?
Because when you say my poems are nice, you show that you have neither taste nor brains. You can't have it both ways.
But Victoria, most people, unless they have already studied poetry, they don't have the language to talk intelligently about poetry.
I suppose you might be right.
Of course I'm right, or I wouldn't say it.
Oh, yeah, right.
You're working on book number 11?
I've got a publisher already. They're picking up all my other books, too. They're all going to be in a series.
Go on.
He's an old friend of Henry's. Oh, Priscilla was all pissed off about that, too.
You and Priscilla don't like each other very much, do you?
She doesn't like anybody.
Why do you keep having lunch with her anyway?
So, what do you suppose happened to her?
Why does something have to have happened to her?
Because it always does.
Doesn't she have the right to stay home once in a while?
Of course, but she never does it.
Aren't you exaggerating a bit?
Not this time.
You sure?
Yes.
Hey, Shirley, are you sure Priscilla didn't cancel for today?
Not that I've heard.
Exactly how long ago did Henry die?
You expect me to remember?
Hey, Shirley, exactly how long ago did Henry die?
Let me see. Exactly 4 weeks ago today, I think. He was in a coma for quite a while, though. Don't you remember?
She's probably hunkering down with Henry's memory.
And leave no one here to remind everybody of Henry? No way.
You're going a little overboard.
She's just trying to cover her guilt.
Over what?
She's the one who had to tell them to pull the plug. But just because she feels guilty, I am not going to let her force me out.
There has to be something more. She must have something against you. Did you and Henry have an affair or something?
An affair? What we had was not just an affair. We were the talk of the town. Imagine the town's wealthiest and most powerful resident escorting around the town's reigning beauty queen. And me just 18 and young enough to be his daughter. You should have seen us. His then wife died soon after we started up.
Wife?
Lillian or Eileen or something. I really don't remember her name.
He was married at the time.
That's how you get a wife.
How did you get mixed up with him?
I wouldn't call it mixed up. I grew up in Milwaukee. You know where that is?
In Wisconsin, sure.
My parents were mean, nasty people. They fought all the time. They called it an open marriage, but neither one of them could keep their pants on. We came here on vacation when I was 18. I hated them, and I wouldn't go back with them. I wasn't a minor any longer, and they couldn't make me. Henry was a breath of fresh air after my father. Henry hired me as his secretary. Pretty soon he promoted me to sales. He couldn't take his hands off me. And before you know it, he had me in bed with him.
Sounds like you were good at sales even then.
Bet your ass, honey. Besides, I was really beautiful when I was young.
You still are.
Oh, go on.
No, really.
Well, whatever. We were together for a very long time. My poetry started selling, and he was willing to pay me some money each month, so I quit working.
And he never married you.
He proposed, but I wouldn't do it. So he married Priscilla. He was already supporting me anyway.
So he married her while you and he were...
And she's hated me for it ever since.
Why would either of you put up with that?
Because Henry was Henry. He was handsome, he had more money than God, and he was plenty famous.
Where did he get all his money from?
Inherited a lot of it. His father was in oil. Bootlegging before the Depression. A lot of other stuff. Real estate. Everything he touched turned to gold. Later he got into selling cars.
Wow. A regular Al Capone.
But a nice Al Capone. I think he felt sorry for Priscilla. And with that mug, she wouldn't have found anyone else. I never really got why he wanted to marry her. She was the only ugly one. I don't suppose that helped improve her state of mind.
I guess some men just have to be married.
Well, we got on well for a long time, but stopped having sex a while ago.
But when Mason and I had coffee, he showed me a picture of you and him and a little boy.
Everybody thought Reggie was Henry's. Actually, he was Mason's. I don't think even Henry suspected. Reggie drowned when he was 2.
Oh my God. You must have been devastated.
Well, that was a long time ago.
That's all you have to say? It was a long time ago?
Priscilla may have figured it out, though.
Maybe that's why she's so hard on you.
She thinks that if she keeps people's attention, nobody will forget Henry.
Even though his name's on everything in town?
Crazy, isn't it?
Crazy, crazy.
Tell me, why do you want to write poetry?
Something new, I guess. And trying to end my post-Pulitzer jinx.
You don't strike me as superstitious.
Yeah, it's just that before that damn Pulitzer, everything I wrote got published. I became famous. After that, nothing. It was always no, no, no. Rejection after rejection. I was sick of the whole thing.
Well, what makes you... They didn't give you any reason?
They'd say things like, doesn't meet our current needs.
And what makes you think this is going to be different?
Well, nothing. Nobody picks them up, I'll publish them myself. I don't have to live off the sales.
You're pretty confident.
Nothing left to lose, I guess.
Victoria begins gathering her things.
What are you doing?
I almost forgot. I have to go get my heart meds checked.
How can you not remember that?
It's not something I want to think about. Listen, come over for lunch Friday.
I'll bring some picnic junk. Afterwards, I can read some of my poems to you. I'm sure you could help me with mine.
Call me Friday. Otherwise, I'll forget.
I will. I'm still wondering why Priscilla didn't come.
Maybe she was nasty to one too many people.
Victoria exits. End scene 5. Scene 6. Fred is sitting alone at the big table. Shirley sits at the reception desk.
Where is everybody? Psst. Hey! Yikes. Mason, you're... My God.
I'm still working on that.
How? What?
There are many more things in the universe than you'll ever understand.
I guess.
So stop worrying.
I really miss you.
I've been near you all along.
No, you're dead. I saw the pictures of you dead in your car.
That was my body.
Oh, you're right. This is, what's it like up there anyway?
Well, for one thing, there's no up.
Is it like those near-death accounts I've heard about?
Only superficially.
What does that mean?
I don't have to fight any city or pay any lawyers, and I don't have to worry about anybody taking my stuff.
Do you actually have stuff?
But I can go be with my stuff whenever I want to. Kind of like a grandfather visiting his grandchildren.
Sounds like you're in heaven.
Oh, they don't like us calling it that.
They?
I don't have time to explain that. You wouldn't understand anyway. But I can tell you the guy over at Rutgers has been spreading lies about you.
Oh, that asshole Steinforth. He hates Wisconsin.
That's not the reason you didn't get published, though.
What do you mean?
You lost confidence in yourself. You were so afraid that you could never write anything as good as the Lyndon Johnson book, you made sure you didn't.
You mean I shot myself in the foot?
Over and over.
Why didn't somebody tell me?
Well, your second wife, Grace, she tried to, but you wouldn't listen. There were a lot of things she tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
I always thought getting my Pulitzer jinxed me.
You need to stop believing in jinxes. They're just lies and false rationalizations.
Wow. All those years wasted. Anything else I need to know?
Yes, but I've said too much already.
What do you mean?
They just say that's their policy.
What do you mean that's their policy?
You'll find out sooner or later.
I really do miss you.
Don't worry. I'm always around. I mean, none of us is really dead. You just can't touch or feel or talk to us in any way that feels normal to you.
Your eyes are still really blue.
I don't have eyes anymore. I've only materialized in front of you like this so you'll recognize me and accept my help. You've always been bad about accepting help. You're in a lot of pain over all the loved ones you've lost lately. I want to help you.
You've got me tearing up all over again.
Mason
Losing my
drops a
parents
tissue
was-
in his lap.
Losing my parents was bad enough. I hate watching all my friends die.
I know.
My soul is like a sieve. It happens over and over again. I turn to talk to somebody and they're not there. I don't know what to do with that.
First, remember, they're still there. Their voices are bubbling with joy all around you. I mean, you can hear them if you listen very carefully. And you can see them too sometimes. You'll be with them pretty soon.
When's that going to be?
I can't really tell you that. I mean, I'll get in trouble.
Right then, you sounded like you could.
You thought you could get out of it easy?
I hadn't really considered it.
None of your contemporaries has either, and they wouldn't believe us if we told them.
Have you run into Priscilla?
We don't run into anybody. People's orbits do pass close, though. She's a lot calmer now. She transitioned while she was sleeping. The plumber didn't find her body for several days, and she was pretty much thinking up a storm.
Mason, that's disgusting.
Fred, you need to lighten up.
Victoria has entered and is sitting next to Fred.
She's not worried anymore about losing her mobility. And she's with Henry again. She loves that. Once they pass close as some of the other wives, that might change. There might be hell to... Oh, sorry. They don't want to see you use that word either.
So how about Victoria? Has your orbit passed close to her?
Hello, boys.
Fred jumps violently, nearly overturning his chair.
Jesus, Victoria, Mason's here.
Mason waves at Victoria and she waves back.
I can see him there. I may be dead, but I'm not blind.
Dead? Mason said nobody really dies.
They don't. I was just expressing what you could understand.
I miss you too.
I know you do. That's why I'm revealing myself to you. We did have a good time.
I should have met you years ago.
Things happen when they're supposed to happen.
You're a complete and total knockout. Do you know that?
That's what I kept trying to tell you people.
You gave me some terrific feedback on my poems. You never once said they were lousy.
They aren't.
I was afraid I'd be out of practice, for you know what.
You were no slouch in that department either.
No rust?
Not so far as we went, but you fell asleep right in the middle of it.
Victoria tosses her hair.
The next thing I noticed, why do you women do that?
Do what?
Toss your hair around like that. It drives me nuts.
You men slay me. People are starving and you're incinerating your planet. And the one thing you want to know is why women fling their hair around.
The last thing I remember was your skin.
My skin always was my best feature.
It gave me shivers all over when I touched it. And when you touched me,
You were crushing me when I woke up. I wiggled out from under you and I knocked off 3 poems while you were sleeping. I wasn't about to waste valuable time getting squashed flat.
so how was I?
You were nice.
Oh. You don't like the word nice, remember?
Oh, yeah. You were absolutely fantastic. The best ever in the whole history of the world. Is that better?
I think I like nice better.
You know, Victoria, you always had a weird sense of humor.
You never complained about it when we were in bed together.
Did you see the article on on you in the paper?
Before it went to press, actually. As usually, it was totally ridiculous. The truth is, after you left, I was boiling water for some tea. I felt really, really sleepy all of a sudden, and I went over to my TV chair to doze off for a second. I didn't notice I'd left paper towels next to the burner. The fire spread to the curtains and to a lot of other stuff, and by the time they put it out, I was dead from smoke inhalation.
It's not fair.
What's not fair?
You just made one slight error.
No. You're making things too simple. It wasn't just forgetting to turn off the burner. It was the end point of the natural progression of things. I had lots of aches and pains I never told anybody about. I fell a number of times and I didn't let anybody know. And my heart, I had to have my heart meds checked every month. They all took their toll. If it hadn't been this, or it would have been something else, or several other things. All those troubles were too much for me to stand up against. But they're all gone now.
Why does it have to be like that?
Like what?
Like, why do we have to go through all this shit? Why can't we just be healthy and free of pain until one day they flip a switch?
You guys, we'll have to continue this later. I mean, they're expecting us back.
Doesn't it get pretty crowded there wherever you are?
We really don't know what you mean. I mean, there is no there.
Oh, so you're in Los Angeles.
Heaven in Los Angeles. Ha ha, very funny.
When do I get to see you guys again?
Well, it may be quite a while yet. You're pretty young. Or it might be right away. We never know. It happens when it happens.
It happens when it happens. That's the best you can do?
Don't be like that. And don't sit around in your underwear with your face hanging out with other guys drinking beer, eating chips, and watching football. God, if football isn't the most despicable sport ever,
You never liked beer either, Victoria.
I'd ban it if I could.
We don't eat or drink anymore.
Which is why I'm not trying to ban it.
Fred holds up the University of Wisconsin medallion.
Mason, here's that medallion you gave me. See the number? I called the alumni office. They gave me the name and address and phone number and everything of the person whose number is on it. It was a woman's name, Janine or something. I called her, and it turns out she might even know me. She had such a sweet voice and invited me to visit her. She graduated in my class. She lives just west of here.
Good for you.
I don't know. Maybe I should just forget about it.
Nonsense! You have to move ahead in your life. It's why you were put on Earth. Your body's wearing out, but so what? We'll be around to help when you need us.
I'm still going to miss you both.
Just think of us and listen to your heart.
Oh, thank you, guys. You're beautiful.
Feel better now?
Absolutely. But how do I know I'm not hallucinating?
You
You
don't.
Fred has stood up, determined.
I'm going to go and meet Janine, the woman whose number is on the medallion. Hey, Shirley, what's the quickest way west?
Oh, hang a right out of our driveway, go about a mile, and then follow the signs to the interstate.
Sounds easy enough.
Fred is walking away. They all watch him go. Bye-bye. Good luck. End of play. Hi, I'm Janet Moore. I'm playing Shirley and reading the stage directions.
Hi, I'm Glenn Sterner Tate. I'm playing Fred Farley Farnsworth.
Hi, I'm Carol McManus. I'm playing Priscilla, wife of Henry.
Hi, I'm Mike Fishbein, and I'm playing Mason.
Hi, I'm Ashley Burtwell, and I'm playing Lynn, the accountant.
Hi, I'm Patricia Austin, and I'm playing Victoria, the poet.